Stay tuned and let's check out this Marvel Legends supervillains wave, A.I.M, Scientist Supreme. Ciao and welcome back to the channel, Dan Who Reviews. As always, my name is Dan W. Make sure you are following me on Instagram at It's Dan Who, and remember you can now hit that join button and become a channel member as well. Quite simply show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. Today we continue looking at the Marvel Legends supervillains wave, aka the Xemnu builder figure wave, and today we are swerving away from the A-list characters as we've already looked at Red Skull and Dormammu, and today we're looking at one of the D-listers, if you will. It is the A.I.M Scientist Supreme. Now this is the first time we have ever had him in Legends form. He's basically an upgraded A.I.M soldier, if you will, so I'm always happy to add more characters to the ranks, especially to a team like A.I.M, as I've got plenty of A.I.M soldiers and now I have someone to command them. At first I thought this guy was sort of friends with MODOK, but it turns out he sort of creates his own sort of section of A.I.M and tries to dethrone MODOK at some point. So they've been friends, they've been foes, but he will still undoubtedly fit in a A.I.M display. So he comes with like his own little iPad up here and of course an arm for the Xemnu builder figure. There he is on the side of the box commanding his squad down at the bottom. We spin it around in the back again. We see him, nice graphic panel with some A.I.M soldiers behind him. But of course we get a write-up that reads, brilliant and diabolical, the A.I.M Supreme helms a massive criminal cabal known as Advanced Ideas Mechanics, aka A.I.M. And then as always, you get a list of all the figures in this wave you need to complete the Xemnu builder figure. Today we're taking a look at A.I.M Scientist Supreme. So as I said, always happy to add new characters, and this is a guy that's definitely going to flesh out even the A.I.M display. So without further ado, let's get him open. And here we have A.I.M Scientist Supreme out of the packaging with all of his accessories out the box, and as you can tell there isn't a lot, but he does come with the builder figure piece for the Xemnu builder figure, which is essentially a big white hairy arm. So we're one step closer, so you know what to do. Check out the playlist, find the videos tab, as I always build this last. So subscribe, come back, and we will check out Xemnu. Today is about the king of the beekeepers. Now that's not a technical name they call him in the Marvel universe, but I'm sure that's a name that my girlfriend will call him when she sees him added to the display. But I guess I wouldn't even argue with it if that's what she called him, because it does sort of look like a beekeeper, a shiny beekeeper at that. But he is the Scientist Supreme. Now Scientist Supreme is a name that's been thrown around in Marvel universe and has had a lot of people use that name. It's the sort of scientist counterpart to the Sorcerer Supreme, Doctor Strange, but this is a particular Scientist Supreme. It is the A.I.M Scientist Supreme, and as I said at the start, at first I thought he was a friend of MODOK, but it turns out he's a sort of foe of MODOK. He wants to rule A.I.M, not MODOK, so they have had a clash in the comics, but I think for my display I'm going to pose them both together and cheat a little bit. It's my world, my display, but yeah, we've definitely got some reuse on this figure from like the Taskmaster of the past, and again we've got some marbleization, but I like that because if it's a character that's meant to have metal on him, then the marbleization I just think adds to that effect, so no complaints from me there. A few different shades of yellow though as the different plastics, but we'll zoom in and take a look, and of course we're comparing to some A.I.M soldiers, and he only has one accessory, so let's start with this. So I guess we would call this the A.I.M iPad, I don't know, but it's meant to be some sort of holographic keyboard that the A.I.M Supreme Scientists can use to command or control nuclear codes or whatnot. But still, it's a nice little translucent plastic blue piece with this sort of rim that you can get him to hold. And there is some sculpted detail on there. Hopefully it's coming across on my lights. So definitely something interesting that you can hold rather than him standing on your shelf looking bored. You can now control that. And he can hold it with two hands, but again, you don't want him holding the blue bit because that's meant to be a hologram, but you can get it so it's looked like he's actually working on the keyboard, which is a nice touch. So I do think that's a nice interesting accessory, no complaints there. I actually like this rather than some sort of wacky gun, because I don't want my Scientist Supreme using a weapon. He uses his brain. So let's look at that. Let's look at this new helmet and compare it to the previous A.I.M soldiers. So this is why my missus calls him a beekeeper, because let's be honest, it does sort of look like a beekeeper. He's got the sort of blue metallic sort of visor, if you will, with this little extra bit down here, and again it's all metallic all the way around, all big one piece. You do get the A.I.M sort of logo there on the back, It's not really an AIM logo, but more sort of honeycomb effect, if you will. Spin it around, that same logo is on the chest as well. This new belt is definitely a new piece. This is not a reuse. Now, a lot of the body is going to be reused from previous Marvel Legends, but this belt is very unique for the character. And it is a separate piece that sort of hovers on the waist, but you don't need the waist swivel because you've got this diaphragm cut up here, and that's where you get all the wiggle room. There is some pouches to keep all his crazy scientific equipment in all the way around. And yeah, it's a blue belt that sort of is definitely going to stand out, but the blue does match the logo and the visor, so no complaints there. Again, the top of the figure is all metallic, and again, it's got some marbling in it, but that doesn't bother me. It's meant to be a metal suit, so the marbling effect I think just adds to that, and you can see the reuse from maybe the Taskmaster there as well. We've got the black on the elbow pads and black on the gloves to break up the sort of yellow, but I like the yellow sort of and black, or sort of gold and black really. We've got the black trunks or the bodysuit underneath the armour, and then again down to the legs, which I'm sure we've seen before, moving down to these feet. And yeah, it looks good. It clearly is an AIM scientist. It's like an upgraded AIM scientist. So I don't think I'm going to have any issues having this guy displayed up on the shelf with his little controller. The hinges on the hands are sort of up and down. So you can, as I said, get the hinge bend all the way backwards and get him actually working on the keyboard just like you would on an iPad or something. And again, have him flanking some AIM soldiers or something. I'm going to have mine next to MODOK, even though I know that technically doesn't make sense, but I think it will work for display purposes anyway, and it's nice to add someone a little bit different amongst the army building of the AIM soldiers. So yeah, as I said, articulation isn't crazy, but it's decent enough. The elbow pads are like, well, shoulder pads, sorry, are a separate piece, and they're soft enough that they will get out of the way. And underneath, you can see the honeycomb effect. I don't know if my lights will show that, but there is like a honeycomb effect sort of sculpted underneath those shoulder pads, which is a nice little touch that no one's ever going to see unless you're looking at him backwards. But the arms do go up. There's a swivel at the top of the elbow as well as double jointed elbows. The head got a lots of motion there on the head as well. It goes crazy. Let me zoom out a little bit, looking down and looking up, which helps, which looks good, I think, for posing and display. The diaphragm joint, again, crunching forward and back. There is a swivel there as well. Legs go out pretty far. There's a swivel at the top of the thigh, hidden by the sculpt work and the paint and the break in the plastic. Double joint elbows, knees, sorry, not bad at all, and there is an ankle pivot. It's a standard Marvel Legends articulation, but I think for a character like this, you don't need him in crazy dynamic karate kicking poses. You just want him in some sort of silhouettes of an AIM scientist doing some maths or something. I don't know, but still, look, it works. So moving into some comparisons, how does he look flanked with some AIM soldiers? So here we have a couple of the early AIM soldiers from the Mandroid Build-A-Figure wave, and you'll notice these ones have the sort of blue silverish visor, which matches the sort of visor of this guy in the middle. So I think these two are a nice little match for sort of flanking this officer. But of course, we have had re-releases of this AIM soldier, once in a 2-pack and then once as a Hasbro Pulse army builder. So if you've been army building these AIM soldiers, I'm sure you have a couple of different versions, and let me show you an example of that. So first, as you'll notice, these have the blue silver visors on the helmet. Another couple of examples are the 2-pack version and the Hasbro Pulse version. You can tell the difference because the Hasbro Pulse version actually has the black gloves on the AIM soldier, but you can notice both of these guys actually have the black visor as well. So they still work flanking this AIM Scientist Supreme, but you have options. I know some prefer things to match, but I actually like the contrast in these AIM soldiers, so it actually looks like an army. So if we put them back there, let's bring back in the other two that actually have the silver, and again, you can start to see your AIM soldiers sort of building a little bit. So there we've just got 4 all different colours in regards to the helmets and what gloves and what harnesses, but it works. Like you can see these ones actually have all black harnesses, while these actually have the silver sort of grenade heads, if you will. But of course, in that 2-pack, we also got the Shock Trooper, which is essentially just paddling painted yellow, but it still works as some sort of Shock Trooper for AIM. I actually like that we've got the Beekeeper helmet on this guy as well. So you can definitely start army building now any way you want, and you can tell this guy is the perfect person to sort of command and lead these guys in a display. I'm always the type of person that likes to collect even numbers when I army build. You let me know in the comments, are you an odd number or even number when it comes to army building? I like even numbers so that when you have someone that commands them, they can flank either side and it's nice and symmetrical. That's just my crazy OCD, but I think it works. Same works with sort of Red Skull and the Hydra soldiers either side. But yeah, nice to sort of start adding these to the ranks. Next up, we have MODOK compared to the AIM Scientist Supreme, and this MODOK is genuinely one of my favourite legends of 2021 so far. And yeah, I think this is where mine are going to end up together on the display. Again, I know technically this guy and MODOK are actually sort of enemies as they both want to command AIM, but for my display, they're both related to AIM, so they can both sit on the shelf together. And again, I don't know how I'm going to display them yet, but I'm definitely going to get some AIM soldiers amongst the crew, of course, and start building out my AIM army with MODOK and the Scientist Supreme. So yeah, lots of options for army building. Now AIM is in full command this year with MODOK and the Scientist Supreme, and it's nice to have my sort of army have someone to command them, as I said. So yeah, keep army building. Let me know in the comments below, how many army builders do you have? Here we have him compared to A.I.M Zola, who actually looks short and stubby compared to the tall Scientist Supreme, but still looking good. And since this whole wave is an homage to the Bring on the Bad Guys wave, here we have two of my favourite current Marvel Legend bad guys with Kang and Doctor Doom. And then here we have him compared to Dormammu and Red Skull, the two other figures I've already reviewed from this Bring on the Bad Guys wave, and so far, so good. Very happy to add all three of these to my comic villains display. And last but by no means least, here we have the AIM Scientist Supreme compared to the worthy Hellfire Hank. So, final thoughts, this is a nice addition to the shelf. I think I've already said everything I want to say about this guy. Some nice reuse from previous Marvel Legends to create a new character for the display, and I always appreciate it when Hasbro can do that. Make a character out of reused parts, but not noticeable to the eye. Like, I don't look at this guy and think, oh, it's just a repaint. This looks like a new figure, even though it's got some sneaky reuse in there. So, bravo Hasbro, I like that when it's done right. And again, I know he's only got one accessory, but look, it works. For when he's posed up like that, this is how he's going to stand on my display anyway. I didn't need weapons or anything like that. Just give me a little funky iPad and I'm ready to go. But yeah, very nice Scientist Supreme to go along with my AIM soldiers that I've been army building now since 2014. But as I said, the question for you is, how many army builders do you have? How many AIM soldiers do you have? And are you going to have your AIM Scientist Supreme commanding your AIM soldiers, or are you going to have MODOK? Are you going to have two factions of AIM on the display? Always curious to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments. But as always, please hit that subscribe button. Much appreciated. You can also hit that join button and become a channel member. Quite simply show some love, or join the members club. Much appreciated. You can follow me on Instagram at It's Dan Who. I'm on Twitter as well at Dan Who Reviews. And as always, I will, of course, see you on the next one.